Let me start by thanking Professor David Palmer, who invited me to join this important discussion on green finance, and also like to thank many other organizations that helped to put together this event, including the Hong Kong Institute for Humanities and Social Science, the Hong Kong University Methods Hub, the Hong Kong Green Finance Association, which I chair, the Hong Kong Financial Services Institute, the Hong Kong U Law Department, and the Center on Global China at NYU Shanghai. I understand that the main topic today is about bringing local value to the ESG framework. I think Professor Maria Harder will be speaking on this with great detail. And I think it's an interesting but also very complex subject. Now, from my perspective, I'd like to talk about the framework or ecosystem for green finance, and then try to elaborate how to incorporate different perspectives, including the ESG perspective, into this framework. Now, in the past few years, we have observed the rapid growth of green finance. In China, we have now seen the largest green lending market in the world with outstanding amount of 20 trillion RMB. And globally, I think the green bond market has grown to issuance level of $1 trillion per year already. Behind that, this is what we call an ecosystem, which involve at least what I think 4 pillars. The first pillar is a definition about green activity. Second pillar is about disclosure. Third one is products. And the last one is what I call incentives. Now, let me elaborate a little bit more on each of these 3 and see how ESG would fit into this framework. Regarding definition of green and sustainable activities, I think the main approach in many countries is the taxonomy. In China, we had already 3 sets of taxonomies, one defining the activities to be supported by green loans, one for green bonds, one for green projects. And in EU, there's a sustainable finance taxonomy, which also provides a list of activities that fit into this sustainability framework. And I think roughly 20 jurisdictions have their official taxonomies already, and many others are still developing taxonomy. But in other places where taxonomies are not officially available, they can also use ESG rating as a way to define the sort of a degree of greenness. Therefore, we have seen lots of ESG rating methodologies popping up, which on the one hand provides some methods of labeling. On the other hand, also generates a lot of confusion because of inconsistency between different ESG rating methodologies. The second pillar is about disclosure. Over time, the disclosure framework evolved from TCFD back 5 years ago into the current ISSB framework, International Sustainability Standard Board, which is developing a set of globally consistent baseline standard for disclosure of sustainability-related information, including climate-related information, environmental-related information, biodiversity-related information. And I think in the future, we may cover social and governance-related information under ISSB as well. And again, there is a relevance to ESG disclosure from the ISSB angle. And I think Hong Kong is going to take a leading role in implementing the ISSB in the near future. The third pillar is what I call products. What we need is not just one product in the green finance market, but also a range of products that can be tailor-made to meet the demand, diverse demand from the real economy. And just take China as an example. As I said earlier, we now have the largest green lending market with outstanding amount of 20 trillion RMB. We also have the second largest green bond market with outstanding amount of 1.4 trillion RMB. But beyond that, there are green funds, green ETFs, green ABS, green REITs, green insurance. And many of these products also has to do with ESG, especially in the asset management industry, where the products are offered, they often label themselves as ESG aligned or ESG labeled products. So at least from these 3 pillars, we are associated with some sort of ESG angle, whether it's definition or disclosure or the labeling of products. And the final pillar is what I call incentives, because in the green economy, many activities are not necessarily or immediately profit-making, but they do have environmental benefits, and that's why the government wants them to be attracting private sector participation, and therefore incentives are being put in place to improve the financial outlook of these projects. For example, in the case of mainland China, the PBOC, namely the central bank, have put in place a decarbonization facility which offers low-cost funding to low-carbon projects at a rate of 1.75%, which is significantly lower than market rate. And also at the local level, there are fiscal authorities offering interest subsidies and guarantees, again, through lowering the funding cost. It can improve the profitability of these projects and thereby attracting private sector funding. In Hong Kong, I think the main incentive is the government providing subsidy for green verification. And also going forward, we're going to enjoy the carbon market as a way of incentivizing low carbon activities. And Hong Kong is taking actions in developing its voluntary carbon market. This is what we call the Core Climate Initiative back a few months ago, taken by the Hong Kong Exchange. So let me stop here, since I'm giving only a few minutes as a short opening remark to link green finance to ESG. I'm looking forward to more insightful discussions from our speakers today. Once again, thank you very much, David, for the invitation, and I wish the event a great success.